Good morning. It's Liverpool Transfer Daily from the Blood Red Channel. I'm Guy Clarke, joined by Liverpool.com's Ben Bocsak to talk about Aston Villa youngster Carney Chukwuemeka and Ben Davies, who looks as though he is heading for a permanent exit from Anfield. Ben, we've a couple to get into. Let's get into the potential incoming first up. And Aston Villa not taking young Carney Chukwuemeka on their pre-season tour due to his ongoing contract disputes. This is a player Liverpool have had their eye on for some time, and really it seems would kind of fit into the mould of what Liverpool are looking to build with a young, hungry team and equally homegrown too.
Yeah, I mean, he's been very impressive, I think. In the Premier League last season, he made 12 appearances off the bench mostly, and he got an assist. He looked promising. At the under-19 Euros, he kind of stole the show for England. He was one of their best players, and he's a player who I think would suit Liverpool well. He's kind of box to box. He can play central midfielder as well as a number 10. He kind of seems like could be an alternative option to Jude Bellingham as well, and obviously he is available for probably a much cheaper price tag with just 1 year left on his contract. But at the same time, he's also a player who Liverpool kind of have already a few similar players of that ilk, the likes of Harvey Elliott, Fabio Carvalho, and I'd put even Curtis Jones in that category. So, like you say, it does feel very much like a Liverpool transfer, but would it be too many of those players? If I was Chukwuemeka, I don't know if I'd choose Liverpool considering the amount of players in his position. Maybe I'd be looking elsewhere.
Yeah, there is, according to reports, a host of clubs lined up to sign in. Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund, of course, you would expect them to be there with what they've done with Jude Bellingham. We obviously have been of the understanding that Liverpool's summer transfer business was going to be done. But equally, something can always come out of the woodwork that can change that. And it does feel as though this would fall into that kind of category. He's been having these ongoing contract discussions with Aston Villa. Probably the expectation was he was going to sign a new contract and become more of a first-team player for them. But they've obviously hit a stumbling block somewhere, and that may be the opportunity where Liverpool step in.
Yeah, I mean, the negotiations have been ongoing since sort of like the start of the year. So if they've been ongoing for so long, I mean, the only sort of opposition to that is Mohamed Salah's contract negotiations have gone on for a while. But the fact that it has been going on for so long, it does suggest that the deal is not that likely to be struck. And therefore, I think if Liverpool can, strike a deal with Steven Gerrard, there's a lot of Liverpool connection at Aston Villa that could help get the deal over the line. But it all just depends on the transfer fee, because at the end of the day, he still has 1 year left on his contract, and a lot of that will hinge on how much Aston Villa want. I think I've seen some £25 million sort of being touted around for him, which is probably not in Liverpool's price range for a player who's only played 12 Premier League games. But if it's a lot less than that, then Liverpool would probably consider it. And I think whatever happens in terms of for Chukwuemeka's sake, he does need a move this summer because if he stays at Aston Villa, runs out his contract, doesn't really he won't probably get the game time that he deserves and that he needs at first team level. So if he is to move on from Villa, then this is the summer to do it.
Yeah, it is an interesting one, isn't it? When you kind of look at all the moving parts around this one, as you say, there are a number of similar players in the Liverpool midfield already, the likes of Fabio Carvalho, who's arrived, Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott, to name three of them. But it does feel as though that is equally kind of the route in which Jurgen Klopp is wanting to take this midfield, with a number of young options. And I suppose in many ways, survival of the fittest of those. You put together a collection of these young midfielders, and the best rise to the top. And if the others don't make the grade, they move on, and we know how successful Liverpool have been in getting high transfer fees in years gone by. But equally for Chukwuemeka, as you say, he has shown, albeit only at a youth level, what a prospect he can be. As you say, he played a starring role as England won the under-19 Euros this summer. And even against Liverpool, I think the year before in the FA Youth Cup final at Villa Park, he was absolutely sublime in the final against Liverpool. And I imagine interest in him goes back all the way to then, if not before.
Absolutely. I mean, I think ever since he was 16, the Villa owners and the message from Villa has been that he's the best player of his age group in the country. I mean, with Harvey Elliott and Jude Bellingham also belonging to that age group, it is somewhat of a contentious statement, but I don't think it's that far off. I think he is up there with the best, and the under-19 Euros showed that. And like you say about the survival of the fittest, I mean, if that's the direction Liverpool want, if they want all these young players to compete and, bring the best out of each other and then have one of them come out on top almost like as a gladiator sort of game, then yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I think it would be fascinating to see. And I think Chukwuemeka is one who wouldn't shy away from that challenge, and he would be ready for it just as well as Harvey Elliott and Fabio Carvalho are also ready for that.
Yeah, definitely. That statement of best young player in the country at their age is another thing that a kind of a box that gets ticked with Kai Gordon and Bobby Clarke. Both of those when they arrived kind of had that status bestowed upon them by others at their previous clubs. Let's move on to the other story we've got today, though. That's Ben Davies, and it looks as though he is going to be on the move to the SPL, up to Rangers, Steven Gerrard's former club. We've spoken about his present club, and Ben Davies, I suppose, leaves us the mystery man of Liverpool, who no one ever really got to see what he could do other than in kind of non-competitive games.
Yeah, I mean, even those non-competitive games weren't really broadcast to the major public, the wider public, so we never really got to see Davies at all, really, in a Liverpool shirt. But in terms of the fiscal aspects of it, the financials, it's still a good deal for Liverpool. I mean, they're going to make a profit on him, and yeah, and I think that's quite impressive considering he was signed for Liverpool a year and a half ago and hadn't played a single competitive fixture. So in that sense, I think it is a good deal. And yeah, I just wish Davies all the best. Hopefully at Rangers he will get more regular minutes and kind of be able to settle back into the form that took him to Liverpool from Preston, which was quite impressive at the time.
Yeah, no, he definitely came in at a time of desperation for Liverpool. It was a deadline deal that, as you say, hasn't particularly worked out for player nor club in terms of a playing perspective, but equally for Ben Davies, his profile has really increased during his time at Liverpool. If not playing, he had a decent enough time, it seems, at Sheffield United, and now up to Scotland to play for a huge club in Rangers. And I'm sure actually his experiences of being in and around Liverpool, all not playing but seeing the size of our fan base, actually will probably be beneficial to him acclimatising to life north of the border. Maybe the playing standard more akin to what he's been used to at Championship level.
Absolutely. I mean, if we talk about the deal, if it hasn't been beneficial for Liverpool or Ben Davies, then it was definitely beneficial for Preston and Sepp Vandenberg, who went the other way, of course, on the loan spell. And we saw him coming back to Liverpool, and he was quite impressive against Crystal Palace, slotting alongside Virgil van Dijk. And now there's Premier League interest and European interest in him. So in that sense, it's definitely worked for Liverpool. And for Davies, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's learned a lot just by training alongside the likes of Van Dijk and Matip, and being around Jurgen Klopp and the team at a fairly successful period as well. And I think he'll take that on board to Rangers, and he will still have come out from Liverpool as a better player than when he came in.
And I'm sure if we know anything about Liverpool and the way they do things, equally on top of this, there's a profit, but there'll be a sell-on clause, I'm sure. And should he go to Rangers and excel, you look at the player he's seemingly replacing in Calvin Bassey, who looks as though he's off to Ajax. I mean, Rangers themselves got to a Europa League final last year. There's not much to, not really anything to say that there isn't an opportunity that actually in 12 months' time, 2 years' time, Ben Davies is subject of a big money move, maybe back to the Premier League, and Liverpool again profit from that.
Yeah, exactly. I think for a centre-back, he's still fairly young. I think he was born in 1995. So there is the potential still for another big money move. And Rangers has been a good stepping stone for players in that regard. And I think, there's the possibility of Liverpool still making even more money, even more profit from this Ben Davies still.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Right, well, that wraps us up today here on Blood Red for Liverpool Transfer Daily. Stick across liverpool.com and here on the Blood Red channel as well for the latest in the Liverpool rumour mill and any transfers that are looking as though they may well happen. Ben Davies off to Rangers looks as though it is set to go through, certainly in the coming days. But from myself, Guy Clarke and Ben Bocsak, thanks for your time and your company. It's bye for now.